Back to Movie On. Today I'm going to explain the movie Flowers in the Attic from 2014. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care, and I hope you enjoy the video. In the beginning of the movie, we see the shot of a big mansion. The name written on the board states the Foxworth Hall. The shot proceeds to show the inside of the mansion, which is dusty, and all the furniture is covered with clothes. There are spider webs everywhere, and it gives the impression that the mansion was abandoned long ago and is empty. The camera proceeds to move in the mansion as it reaches an attic. The attic's condition is no better than the mansion. The wall has many X marks over it, as it was showing that someone was there and they recorded their time there. Behind the marks was written, "Kathy was here." During the scene, we also hear a girl's voice in the background that tells the story of how the color yellow symbolizes hope, like the sun and a new day. The girl states that, "We believe that life will be one sweet summer day. At least it started that way. We were 4 beautiful children with blonde hair and porcelain skin like those of a doll. We were not only admired, but loved. But all this was before. Life is full of surprises," my mother used to say, "and greed and fear and shame, as I soon learned, and hopelessness. We never colored even one of our paper flowers yellow." The scene shifts to Pennsylvania, where we see a kid riding a bicycle, a woman tending to her plants, and cars moving on the road. One of the cars takes a turn and enters the driveway of a house. Inside the house, the children, that include 14-year-old Chris, 12-year-old Kathy, and 5-year-old twins Carrie and Corey, are playing. Their father, Christopher, arrives home, and Chris throws something that nearly misses the father's head. Christopher pretends to scold the kid, but then he smiles, and all the children hug him. He opens his briefcase and gives all the kids presents he has bought for them. His wife, Corinne, comes and hugs him. He gives her a beautiful necklace he has bought as a present for her, and they both kiss. The children feel awkward. In the next scene, we see the father and the children playing together in the lawn. They all are laughing and enjoying, and the family looked very gleeful and content, and they're having the time of their life. The daughter lets her father know that she wishes that he didn't have to go away for work. The mother comes and informs them that dinner is ready, and she has made Christopher's favorite homemade apple pie, to which her daughter pointed out that she forgot to remove the bakery label. The wife is all dressed to the nine. The father breaks it to the family that he's being promoted to the position of a vice president, and he's now the head of sales of the entire East Coast. The family is happy, besides kept to the inside of the home. We see that she's laying in her bed and sobbing when Christopher knocks and enters the room. She looks sad, and the father describes the situation to her, and she discusses her concern with him. Christopher consoles her and gives her a lavish ring he bought for her when he was away. In the next scene, we see that the family is elegantly dressed and are preparing for a party. Later, we see that the family is having a party at home, and everyone is enjoying their time. The family is waiting for Christopher. Christopher isn't home yet, and Corinne tells the kids to be patient. Soon, Chris hears voices in the driveway. They all run and hide to surprise Christopher. But as soon as the door opens, the man who enters isn't Christopher, but a police officer. The officer breaks the bad news to the family that there had been an accident involving Christopher, and he is no more. The family is devastated. Later, we see that the perfect life of the family has been thrown into jeopardy. The mother is trying hard to make ends meet and having a hard time finding a job. Corinne and Kathy have a discussion where Corinne states that some mothers are impossible to love. They don't act like mothers at all. We learn that Corinne despises her mother. Later, we see Chris and Kathy riding bicycles when her mother asks them to come inside the home. She informs them that they'll have to go live with their grandparents in Virginia. The children are bewildered by the news, as they were previously informed by their parents that they have no family. Corinne informs them that she and her parents had a rather dusty relationship, so they thought it best to part their ways. But in the light of present events, it's their best hope for now. The children don't want to leave, and Chris is skeptical and says that they have a house, and that he can get a part-time job so they don't have to leave their lives. The mother informs them that everything they own, the house, the cars, the toys, even her necklace, is pledged to the bank, and the bank will take it all away. But the good news is that her family is rich and has a lot of wealth, a big mansion with servants and a personal lake, and that they will leave tonight. The kids agree with their mother. She informs them that their real last name is Foxworth. In the next scene, we see that the family is traveling by train, and they get off the train in the early morning at the station. They walk from the station to the mansion Foxworth Hall, which is a little farther from the station. At the mansion, Olivia, Corinne's mother, receives them. She acts cold-heartedly toward them, but invites them inside. The kids enter and inspect their surroundings. They proceed into the mansion while Olivia continuously gestures to them to keep quiet, as if she's afraid of someone finding out. She leads them to a room that connects to the attic. Corinne thanks her mother for providing her shelter, but Olivia acts rather indifferent to her and the children. And from her behavior, we see that she doesn't want her husband to find out about the children. She tells the children that once she and their mother will leave, she'll lock the door, and that they should keep quiet and stay put. Chris questions her mother, to which she responds by telling them that her father Malcolm has disowned her, and that she needs some time to make up and improve her relationship with him. And then everything will be alright, and she'll introduce them to him. She requests them to stay put till then, and to not infuriate the grandmother. Chris states that they'll be fine up there. Kathy is wearing the promise ring her father gave her, and Olivia sees it and demands that Kathy give her ring away. When she does not comply, Olivia gets angry and treats her badly and threatens her. She gives her ring away. Olivia forbids them from mentioning their father in the house. Olivia asks Corinne to leave with her. Before leaving, Corinne promises the kids that everything will be alright soon. She and Olivia leave, locking the kids in the room. The next morning, as the children wake up, Olivia enters the attic with a basket. She tells them that she's brought them the food and the basket is supposed to be for the day, as she can't keep going up and down. She also gives them a list of other rules. The rules she imposed on them are: keep the room neat and tidy as if no one lives there. Keep your hair brushed neatly. Keep your body cleaned and fully clothed. Be modest when you go to the bathroom. Use the bathroom separately. Older children keep younger ones quiet. No running around or yelling or crying. When Christopher asks her where the children are supposed to play, she shows them the staircase to the attic and tells them to play there. She also makes it clear that on the last Friday of each month, they have to clean all their stuff and hide in the attic, as that is when the maids clean the room, and no one must ever see or hear them because if their grandfather found out, they would be thrown out. The kids move to the attic, which is very grimy and grubby. The kids explore the attic and watch the album of their family pictures. Kathy finds the table. Some names and dates are carved onto it. They deduce that they're not the first kids there. The twins demand to go out. Chris consoles them and makes them a swing in the attic. Kathy questions Chris, who states that their mother will deal with it and they will soon be out of there. Later, when they're having dinner, the twin refuses to eat. Chris goofs around with the children. Olivia and Corinne come to the room. Olivia gets furious and gestures to Corinne to leave the room, which she does. Later, Corinne comes to the kids' room. The twin demands to go home with her. She beseeched them to listen to their older siblings. Carrie starts acting up and shouting. Olivia enters and maltreats the children. Corinne bluff threatens her mother that she will leave and never return if she treats her children badly, to which her mother tells her to do so in a challenging tone. Corinne froze in time as she couldn't do anything. Olivia tells Corinne to take off her blouse and show her bruise-ridden back to her children. Olivia tells the children that this is what happens if they disobey her. She disparages her and the children. In the next scene, we see that Corinne enters the attic with paint supplies for the children, who ask whether this would enrage Olivia, to which she tells them that Olivia doesn't come to the attic as she's claustrophobic. She tells the children the story that when she was young, she was real close to her father, and this made her mother jealous. Then later, when her father became busy with work, she became lonely. Then her father's half-brother came to live with them. He was just a few years older than her and very handsome and personable. Her father treated him like his own son, and she never had met anyone like him. Kathy guesses correctly that she's talking of their dad. She continues to tell them that they tried to keep their feelings secret even from each other, but they couldn't and they eloped. Her family was enraged, and her father disowned her. In the next scene, we see that the children are decorating the attic, and we learn that Corinne has not visited the children in a week. We see that Kathy is keeping record of her time there by drawing an X for each day on the wall. Chris asks Kathy to bring water, and when she goes down to do so, she runs into Olivia. Olivia learns from her that they're drawing in the attic, but a bitter Olivia still treats her badly. The scene shifts, and we see that the kids are packing up their stuff to go into the attic. The room looks too tidy, and Olivia gets mad about it and says that the room looks like it's been recently cleaned, and maids will be there in less than an hour. Then she gives Kathy some yellow flowers for her fake garden. Later we see Kathy and the twins are reading, and Corinne comes in with supplies. The twin runs to hug her. Kathy asks her where she's been. She tells her that she had to spend all her time with her father. When Chris asks her to stay for the twins' bedtime, she tells them that she has a date with some old friends at a movie night. Kathy gets enraged and questions her mother, but Chris defends her. When Kathy asks Corinne when she will tell her father about them, she says that her father has finally accepted her on one condition, that she never had children with Christopher. She lied to him and she can't tell him about them ever. She tells them that she'll cancel the movie day, but Kathy tells her to leave. Chris and Kathy are sitting on the roof, and Chris tells Kathy that soon their grandfather will die, and they'll get out of there. The twins were playing hide and seek, and Carrie couldn't find Corey, so she informed Chris and Kathy. They run in and find an old box where Corey had hid, and it gets locked from outside. Chris breaks the lock to find an unconscious Corey inside. Kathy tends to Corey, and Chris breaks the lock of all the boxes in the attic. Later that night, Corey tells Kathy that he misses Corinne so much. The scene shifts, and it's snowing outside. Kathy and Chris talk about how it's their first Christmas without their father, and how they used to enjoy and celebrate Christmas with their father. They decide to make a present for the twins. Kathy proposes that they make presents for Grandma as well, as she brings them food regularly and she might also let them out. Later, when she brings them food, the children present her the present. She doesn't say anything and leaves. Later, their mother brings them presents. She also gets them the TV and tells them that Mr. Bart Winslow, her father's attorney, says that she's being included in the will. She tells them that she's throwing a party and the children insist on coming. This she allows. Later, the kids hide in the cabinet. In the party, a nurse pushes Malcolm on a wheelchair. Corinne runs to greet him and he gives her a present. The present contains a necklace that's a family heirloom. Corinne wears it and she's so happy. The children are hiding when they see Bart flirting with their mother. She's having a discussion of getting married, and her children overhear this. Kathy goes to the room while Chris explores the mansion. He goes to a room and takes the necklace his father gave to his mother from there. Later, Corinne comes to the room and asks Kathy where Chris is. When she tells her he went to explore the house, she gets angry about that and slaps Chris and threatens to whip them. The next day, when she comes to their room, the children are upset. She apologizes for her behavior. They ask her about Bart Winslow, and she tells them that they can leave and start over without her father's money. She opens the door for them, but tells them that if they left, they can never come back. The children do not leave. The scene shifts, and we see the twins are watching the TV, and Kathy is drawing another X mark on the wall. We see that there are a lot of marks, where the whole year has passed. Later, Chris is reading a woman's magazine, and Kathy questions him about it. Later, Kathy and Corinne chat, and she brings her a bra. When she is trying on her first bra, Christopher accidentally walks in on her. Both are perplexed, and Olivia walks in and sees them. She tries to cut Kathy's hair as punishment. Chris stops her, but then she asks him to cut her hair, or she'll starve them and the twins for a week. Chris does not do it, and instead they give their portion of their food to the twins. Kathy decides to cut her hair, but Chris stops her. Olivia feels bad and brings them food. But later at night, Kathy wakes up and finds tar all over her hair. They try to wash it off, but to no avail. They're left with no choice but to cut her hair. Chris tells her that he thinks she's pretty. But he should not think that way about his sister. The scene shifts and we see that it's been another year, and Corinne hasn't visited her children for more than a month. Kathy and Chris go out by the help of a rope and go to the lake. Kathy raises questions about her mother being absent that long, and Chris still tells her to believe her. But she questions him whether he believes her, and replies that he doesn't know. Chris thinks about what will happen to them if something happens to their mother. They then go back to the mansion. Their twins are holding a mouse stuck in a trap. They free him, and Corey keeps him as a pet. Corinne comes back and tells them that she's married Bart Winslow, and that the reason for her absence was that she went on a honeymoon to Paris. Chris is angry at her and breaks the magnifying glass she bought for him. Kathy questions that she hasn't even told Bart about them. She gets angry about this. Later, Olivia brings the children some donuts, which their mother gave as a gift. Kathy suggests that they can escape, and they start to hatch a plan. Olivia comes in and sees Chris standing in front of the window. She asks him to step away from the window, and she addresses him as boy. He demands to be called by his name, which enrages Olivia, who whips Chris with the belt. Later, Kathy tends to Chris's wounds, and they both kiss. The next day, when Olivia comes up, Chris says that she's right, and that they're devil spawn, and quote the Bible, and ask Olivia for forgiveness. It's revealed that it was their plan to get the imprint of the key in a soap, and later he crafts the key from the mold. He proposes that they should run away tonight, but Chris tells her that they need money and decide to steal it from their mother. They go to their mom's room and look around. They take some cash and go back. They only have $30. Chris says that they'll need at least $1,000 and propose that they leave when they have enough cash. Later, Kathy goes to her mother's room and finds Bart asleep there. She approaches him and kisses him. Chris goes outside and sees that the area of the mansion had been fenced by electric fences. He then checks for the power supply and finds it. Later, he overhears Bart and Corinne talking about missing cash. Bart also tells Corinne how he had a dream of a young blonde girl coming into his room and kissing him on the lips. Chris gets angry at her, and they end up getting naughty in bed. Chris tells Kathy that he loves her, and that he doesn't know if he can love anyone else. Carrie comes and tells them that Corey is sick. Olivia and Corinne come to the room, and Kathy asks them to take Corey, who has food poisoning, to the hospital. She shouts at them, and her mother slaps her, and she slaps her back and threatens that she will tell her dad and Bart about them. Olivia tells Corinne to take Corey to the hospital. Later, Corinne comes and tells them he had pneumonia and that he's dead. When Chris asks for a funeral, she tells him that he has already been buried. Carrie cries, and Chris hugs and comforts her. Corinne apologizes and leaves. Chris and Kathy decide to leave that night and take all they can with them. The next morning, they discuss the plan to leave. When Chris is sabotaging the house, he overhears a servant and a maid that Corinne has been leaving poison in the attic to kill the mice, and that their grandfather died 7 months ago. In the attic, Carrie fed the donut to the pet mouse. Chris looks into Olivia's room and finds out that she's bald and uses a wig. He coughs, and that gets Olivia's attention. He runs into the attic and tells Kathy that they'll have to leave now. They tell him that the rat died after eating the donut. He deduces that there's poison in the donuts and thinks that Olivia is trying to kill them. Olivia follows him into the attic and asks him to hand over the key. A commotion ensues, and Chris holds Olivia and restrains her for enough time for Kathy and Carrie to escape into the attic. Chris follows and closes the door and turns off the light. Olivia's claustrophobia triggers. She tells them that it was their mother who poisoned them and not her. But Kathy says that it no longer matters if they trap her there and escape from the mansion. While escaping, they run into the butler. He recognizes them and helps them escape by turning off the electric fence. They get into the train for Florida, and Chris tells them that their suffering is over. And Kathy vows to take revenge from her mother one day, and the movie ends.